guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I'm going to be doing my mid-month wrap-up. These are all the books that I read in the first half of April. So let's get right into it. I read about 9 books. First book that I read in the month of April was Never Look Back by A.L. Jackson. This was me continuing the Redemption Hills series. This one is about Logan and Aster. So Logan and Aster have a past together, so this is definitely second chance romance. It is kind of hate to love, more so like Logan is heartbroken because Aster left him, and obviously there's a lot more to this story, but I absolutely loved this one. I think this one might be my favorite. I gave it 4.5 stars and I rounded it down to a 4. Like I said, with most of A.L. Jackson's books, I just don't like the representation of the kids, and I don't like the overall use of the flowery writing, especially like during like the sex scenes. And not even that, but it also kind of gets repetitive at some points. But I absolutely love this book. I loved the angst. I loved how heartbroken Logan was, but he couldn't help but want Aster. And I loved how guilty Aster felt, but she was also angry because of things that she knows. And I loved the whole forbidden aspect as well, because Aster is part of the cartel. So her and Logan, they really never had a chance until recently when they run into each other, and Aster is actually married to another man. That said husband loses her to a bet and Logan wins her in this bet. It goes from there, and it is so good, you guys. Just thinking about it, it is my favorite out of the series. It is so good. I love Logan. I loved seeing his personality and how he portrays himself to his family, but how his inner evilness, devilishness works. I also loved Aster because she wasn't a damsel in distress, but she wasn't like the ultimate badass either, but she was just strong. Like, she was a strong female character, and I absolutely loved her, and I loved Logan and Aster together. I can't wait to continue the series. I really loved this one. Next book that I read was When You Know by Jessa Kane. This is actually her most recent novella drop. I ended up actually giving it 3.5 stars, rounded it down to a 3. Yes, I am shook. I'm just as shook as you are. This one, I think I liked it so much because it was everything that I needed and more. It was smutty, but it wasn't like that over the top smutty. I mean, no, like, don't get me wrong. It was over the top smutty, but I felt like our characters, our hero and our heroine, they acknowledged their craziness, their obsession with each other, and it was just really good and really smutty. There's a little bit of filming in this one. It was a firefighter with a college student, I believe. It was so good. I really liked this one. Next book that I read was Only When It's Us by Chloe Liese. I gave this one 4.5 stars. I rounded it down to a 4, I believe. I absolutely loved this one. This one is about Willa and Ryder. You know, when a heroine is named Willa, I will probably like her. But I overall fell in love with Chloe Liese's writing. This is about characters Willa and Ryder. So Willa is in this class and she's kind of falling behind because she is putting all her time and attention into soccer. She is a soccer player, and her professor tells her to ask Ryder for the notes because Ryder does have the notes for the class that she's missed. And so she goes and asks him, and he completely ignores her, for us then to find out that he is hard of hearing and he actually didn't hear her, but she doesn't know that. And so she just thinks that Ryder ignored her. So then there's this kind of like hate to love aspect, just kind of this misunderstanding, and kind of Ryder also like lets it play along. I just loved the way that disability was handled in this book. It opened my eyes to a lot more of what Ryder like goes through and people like him, and I loved how I connected with Willa in so many aspects of her character, and I just couldn't help but fall in love with her and Ryder. They have so many cute moments. They just have so many moments basically, and the reason why this didn't get a full 5-star from me is because I did think that Willa was so stubborn, but also Ryder might have been too patient with her. Like, I just wanted them to get together sooner rather than later, but they don't get together till like way into the book. But we do get moments with them. It is a steamy read as well. I loved everything that Willa was going through. Like, I love the representation of her grief with her mom. The found family aspect was really, really heartwarming. And I overall overall loved it. I love Chloe Liese's writing. This is actually my first book by her, and I can't wait to continue in the series. It was 4.5 stars. It was amazing. I loved it. Next one that I read was His Last Nerve by Cassie Mint. I gave this one 3 stars. I really enjoyed this novella. This one is about our heroine. She is hired to be our hero's, I believe, assistant, but she has ulterior motives. She wants to get on his last nerve. She wants to basically make his life a living hell, but she ends up falling in love along the way, and it was smutty and it was good, and it was a quick, fun novella. Then I also picked up Going Rogue by Cassie Mint. This is part of that one recent series that she did. I gave this one 3 stars. Now that I'm remembering, I gave this one 3 stars. So our heroine, she wants to do, I believe it's a comic book with like fighters, and she goes to this gym so she can see like boxing in real life and like have her sketch it and be authentic, and that's where she meets our hero, and he is our broody, quiet hero, and I loved him and I loved our heroine, and she basically just is obsessed with him and he is obsessed with her, and he doesn't want to scare her away. There's just so much pining. I just loved their romance. I gave it 3 stars. I really enjoyed it. Then I ended up picking up Bloodied Hands by Adelaide Forrest. This one I was really disappointed in. I ended up giving it 2.5 stars, but rounded it up to a 3 star. I think this one just wasn't for me. I'm still willing to continue in the series. I think they get better. At least I hope so. So basically we have our hero Mateo and our heroine Ivory. So Mateo and Ivory had this thing in high school, but Mateo breaks Ivory's heart basically to keep her out of his mafia ties and to like protect her, but he like really breaks her heart and she just never got over it. And we fast forward a lot of years. We then get Ivory. She is at this bank that then gets robbed, and the robbers actually hear her say who she is, and she's like, oh, they're like, oh shit, just tell him, our hero, that we didn't mean it, we didn't know that you were here. And then like they leave without like actually robbing the bank. She's like, that's weird, like why the fuck am I associated with this dude that I had a relationship with in high school and who broke my heart? So she ends up pulling up to his house, and so because she pulls up to his house, he's like, she came back to me, so now I'm never letting her go again. Like I'm not gonna let her go again twice. And then it goes from there. I liked it for a while there. I liked the alpha asshole hero. I didn't really like that the heroine was really kind of needy and mostly a damsel in distress. It's just not for me, as you guys know. I just can't deal. Sometimes I can, but most of the time I can't. And I think the part where this just kind of fell flat for me is it's just that I kept reading and I just kept losing interest, and I just really wanted to DNF it, but I also wanted to finish it. I was already up to a certain point when I was thinking about DNFing it, but I was like, you know what, I'm gonna push through because I've heard so many good things about this series, about this author specifically. I didn't love the writing, but I also didn't hate it. I found it, you know, okay. I think it was just more so the characters and the story. I also think that this book fell flat for me because the hero does absolutely no grovel, and the heroine kind of goes back to him quite easily, and then they start this physical relationship, which is all fine and dandy, but like I needed that grovel, you know, because he like really broke her heart, like the way that he did it in high school. I would have been traumatized. So I wanted more, and I didn't get it. So I gave it 2.5 stars, rounded up to a 3 star. Moving on, then I read Knotted by Pam Godwin. I actually did a reading vlog for this book, so I will leave that linked up here. I'm not gonna go into too much detail because I go into so much detail in that reading vlog, so go ahead and check it out. I will say I gave it 5 stars. It was so good. You guys need to go watch that reading vlog because it's really good. But just thinking about Connor and Jake, it was so good. But yeah, moving on. Next book that I read was Coldhearted Bastard by Jenika Snow, and this one I gave 4.5 stars, running it down to a 4. This is what I wanted Bloodied Hands to be, you know. And like I have read Jenika Snow before. Like I love her because of her smutty books, and I have read every single one in her like Lycan series, and I always knew that she had this mafia series, and I just eventually picked it up because her Lycan series, although I did like it, I didn't give any of them 5 stars, but I wanted to see what her mafia series was all about, and it was a longer page length, so I thought it would hit different, which it did. So we have our heroine Lena and our hero Arlo. So Lena, at the beginning, she gets into some trouble because her father is in some debt, and so her father sells her to this man in Vegas, basically is selling her for like her virginity. She ends up escaping and she goes somewhere else, like to this other part of Vegas, or maybe like outside of Vegas, I'm not sure, but she like runs away and she gets a new identity and she works at this shitty ass diner where our hero Arlo actually goes in and eats. And once he sees her, he is completely obsessed, but he knows that he can't have her because he's not good enough for her. He's dark. He is actually the killer for this organization. He doesn't really have a boss per se. He's just kind of like a kill for hire. I think that's how you say that. He's basically an assassin and he does work with whoever he wants to have work with. Not that people aren't wanting to recruit him, but he's just like, I'm a lone wolf. I like to be my own boss. I like to dictate what he wants to do. And so he goes into this diner and he watches her and he protects her and he like kills for her. He's just so obsessed and I just love it. And then eventually she goes to this club with her co-worker because they both are trying to make money, and this is where she falls into the clutches of this mafia organization. I can't remember what it's called, but she gets set into the highest room to be a waitress, and the mafia boss calls in Arlo because he wants Arlo to be on his payroll, but Arlo is like, nah. But then he sees that Lena is in this room and he gets like super jealous and possessive and like kills somebody because they dared to touch her, and it's like literally touch her and you die, like literally. And it was so good, and the smut was so good. I mean, I already knew that Jenika Stone has like a top tier smut, but it was so good, and it was just the mafia setting that I loved, and it was just, everything was paced so perfectly. I will say I did not give it a full 5-star because I did want a slightly more emotional connection between them. I felt like they did love each other, like they were emotionally connected. I just wanted a little bit more. Like I felt it lacking while I was reading, but girl, it was so good. Like this is what I wanted and I needed after reading Bloodied Hands. Like this, top tier. I can't wait to read the second book and the rest of the series because I think that they're just gonna get better and better. And I honestly truly love this one. Like I'm considering getting the paperback, so that's how you know that I really liked it. Moving on, Always Practice Safe Hex by Juliette Cross. This I gave 5 stars to. It was so good, y'all. It was so good. I can't believe I gave it 5 stars, but it was so good and so well deserved. This one is about Livy and Gareth. This is an enemies to lovers, hate to love, work rivals, basically, type of vibe. So Livy and Gareth are in this competition, but they are in a team, and only one of them is gonna win some sort of money for their marketing purposes. And Livy and Gareth just have this undeniable chemistry, this tension, and this is a paranormal romance. Livy is a witch and Gareth is a Grimm, and in this book we find out a lot more about Grimms than we had in the previous books, and I just overall love this relationship. Every little moment that they both had together was amazing. Their conversations were amazing. The emotional connection was amazing. There is this obviously fated mates element, but they were so perfect for each other, and the banter, I was laughing out loud. I loved the steam. The steam was really good. The steam was really good. Gareth is just perfect and obsessed with Livy, and Livy is just so fun, and she's a curvy heroine, and she's a badass, and she is just so sweet and kind, and I just love every single character in this series. If you haven't picked up this Stay a Spell series by Juliette Cross, I don't know what you are doing. This is nothing like I have ever read before. There is literally a part in here that lives rent-free in my head. Like, it is not even like a sex scene. It's literally, I think they're like working on their project together, and and so Livy is like talking about the group, and like the other partner is there talking about like the campaign or whatever, and she asked Gareth like, were you even paying attention? Because she knows he wasn't paying attention because he was staring at her the whole time and like smirking and smiling and like just looking at her with lovey eyes, and he's like, oh, like, no, I wasn't listening, can I see your notes? And so she passes the notes over and he's like reading through it and like marking his notes like that he has on her notes and like his pros and cons, and he's like, you know, all serious and like in depth, and he hands the notebook back. he hands the notebook back to Livy and she looks down at the notes, and it's literally, that part, I don't know what it is about it, but it blew my heart up. Like, I literally can't take it. But he gave the notebook back, and all it was of doodles of hearts and of Livy's name, and like writing Livy plus Gareth and with hearts, and just, it was so cute. Like, I literally couldn't stand it because Gareth is just a broody hero in the beginning, but then he like gets this softer side, and you can see his softer side towards Livy. And I just, like, don't get me wrong, when he needs to be like, you know, alpha male, then he brings it, but he has this soft spot for Livy, and I just loved to see it. I gave it 5 stars. It was so good, you guys. I can't wait for the next book, and then I can't wait for Grim and Barrett. I didn't get to read Resting Witch Face before I go to a Polycon, but it's okay because I already know I'm gonna love it. And Grim and Barrett comes out May 9th, so you guys need to get a start on this witchy paranormal fun series. They're all so amazing, and I can't recommend them enough. But that is the last book that I read in the first half of April. Let me know what your top read of April is so far, and if you guys don't want to comment any of that, then go ahead and leave me a red heart down below for always practice safe hex. And again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.